Welcome to this episode. We are going to be answering the question, does it have to end? We're going to be talking about breaking up with somebody that you love, specifically if you aren't sure if you should, or if you aren't sure if that's the right answer. It's so hard to let go of the dream that we have of the relationship when we get into it. Oftentimes, we're not getting into relationships expecting to break up with the person. That's just the reality. We get into the relationship and we start to build this dream of a life. And it's hard to let go of that dream. It's hard to let go of the dream that it would work out if we just do more therapy, if he just gets his shit together, if I just get my shit together, whatever the thing is that needs to change. It's hard to let go of the idea of marriage, of kids, of the dream house with the acreage, or whatever it is that you have been wanting, that you have been promised. And we can really white knuckle that dream. And we can use it to justify away the nagging feeling in our gut that comes when we start to ask ourselves, like, is this right? Should I stay in this relationship? The dream can be so enticing, intoxicating. The anticipation of the dream itself releases dopamine in our body. So of course we are not going to want to give that up easily. So today we're going to talk about the signs that you can look for in your relationship to see if the relationship isn't serving you. We will explore the reason why breaking up is actually serving and helping both you and them. And then we're going to start to answer that question of, does it have to end? And remember to stick around to the end of the episode because we are going to pull an oracle card, which offers a specific message that you can take with you this week in your healing to give you more guidance, more ahas, and more awareness. Welcome to Heartbreak to Wholeness, the podcast helping you heal from the mindfuck of narcissistic relationships and move towards the secure, peaceful woman you want to become. We will explore all of the tools that you need to get through your grief, to move past those I'll be alone forever fears, and rebuild your confidence so you can move forward in healthy relationships as your full self, never to get sucked into the narcissistic spell again. I am your host, Bree Walta, relationship clarity coach and EFT certified practitioner. Let's dive in. Okay, so let's talk about the signs that you can look for to see if your relationship is not serving you. And I want to start by giving you a definition of what I believe to be a toxic relationship. So in my opinion, a toxic relationship is a relationship where you are feeling confused, hopeless, and anxious most of the time. A healthy relationship is where you're feeling valued, respected, and loved most of the time. Now, in a healthy relationship, you can have moments of feeling anxiety, confusion, and hopelessness, and then you return back to the majority of the time feeling valued, loved, and respected. Vice versa, in a toxic relationship, you will have moments of feeling loved and respected, but the majority of the time you're in that confusion, hopeless, anxious energy. So it's, where are you the most of the time? What is the energy? What's the vibe of the relationship if you had to pick one or the other? Well, if you're in more of the toxic energy, and this can be on a scale from full-blown abuse to just not working toxic level to being with somebody that you're not compatible with, if you're fighting all the time, if the majority of your communication ends in some sort of heightened agitation or full-out yelling or silent treatment or whatever you define as fighting, where it doesn't feel like you guys are on the same page. You feel more confused than clear, specifically after conversations where you've had to try to insert your opinion or set a boundary, right? You leave and you're like, oh what did I just get word vomited on? I don't even know what we talked about. And now I feel like everything is my fault. Your needs get dismissed. So you try to bring something up to your partner and it gets shot down. You get told that you're being ridiculous, that you're too much, you're not enough, you're too needy, you're too loud, you're too quiet, you're too something, and it's your fault. Your needs are not received. Your needs are dismissed. And then you're told that everything is your fault. If you're told that in a relationship, That's a good sign that the other person cannot take accountability, and accountability is necessary for healthy relationships. The second part to identifying the signs of a relationship that isn't serving you is thinking about what is keeping you in the relationship. So if you ask yourself that question, what is keeping me here right now? If your answer is a hope for the future, if it's I'm waiting for him to do what he says he's going to do, I don't want to give up on him. Maybe it's a fear of failing. Maybe you're staying because you don't want to be perceived as somebody who got divorced again or is on her next partner, having that reputation from your friends of being the one who can't keep a partner. Maybe it's the fear of the unknown. Maybe being single is too overwhelming. So you're staying in the relationship because it's easier, it's more predictable than the unknown over there. Or maybe it's just because you invested too much time. You put 4 years, 6 years, 25 years, whatever it is, in with this person. You're like, I don't want to start from scratch. I don't want to be back to square one. If your answer to that question is anything that I just listed, that is pointing to the relationship being based in fear of what will happen if you leave, fear of not wanting change, and or not really living in the present moment. In a healthy relationship, an answer to that question might be, what's keeping you in the relationship right now? Might be, my partner holds really safe space for me. I feel really seen, valued, heard day to day. If you're not coming up with answers like that, it's pointing to that it's pointing to that the relationship is not working, not serving you. Another sign would be your partner repeatedly saying, I'm going to change, I'm going to do this different. I recognize there's a problem and I'm going to fix it, and then not fixing it, right? You're stuck in this pattern of the hope, them saying they're going to do it, and then the letdown of them not doing it. And you're just in this cycle with them. In healthy relationships, we are with people who do what they say they're going to do and can be held accountable for those things. So we're not stuck in that hope place all of the time. Okay, so those are the signs that you can look for. Now let's talk about the reason why a breakup might be the thing that helps both you and them. A lot of times we can talk ourselves out of breaking up with someone because we don't want to hurt their feelings, we don't want to ruin their life, right? And so understanding the benefits that both people receive is really helpful here. The first thing I want to say is that resentment is the relationship killer. And I think that was coined by Brené Brown. But when we stay married just to have the family, when we stay in a relationship just because we don't want to leave, just because we've invested too much time, just because whatever on the signs that felt true for you, but we're resenting the way that they show up every day. We resent the way that they invalidate your feelings. They talk over you. You guys never come to a resolution in a fight. That resentment is just festering. And there is a point when that resentment will blow up. And that blow up is probably not going to look very kind. It's probably going to be a lot more messy to clean up, to repair, to heal, to fix for both of you. So the more that we can stay out of the resentment place and stay in our truth, the more aligned, first and foremost, we feel, the less time we waste, and the more maturely we can show up to our relationships and or show up to the ending of the relationships. Clarity here is really kind. If you've ever had a situation where you have a friend who doesn't want to tell you the truth, but you can sense that something's off, you can sense they don't really want to hang out, but they're doing it anyway, and then they're kind of giving you these passive aggressive, that's unkind. We're not being clear that we didn't actually want to hang out. We don't actually like you. We don't actually like this friendship. If you are to be clear, you aren't leading them on to believe that everything is okay while you are dying inside. You're not leading them to think that they're doing wonderful things while you're building the resentment. It really frees both of you to be in the truth, even though it hurts. The truth might not always feel good, but it is always the kindest option, because otherwise we're living in a lie and we are deceiving the other person that we are with. So in momentary pain, we get to free ourselves, free the other person from something that's not real anymore, from something that's not serving anymore. So to answer the question then, does it have to end? This comes up with my clients all the time when they aren't sure if it's really bad enough. They can recognize some parts that aren't working, but they don't want to hurt the person. They don't want to leave the person like stranded. Sometimes we can think of breakups as being really selfish, but in fact, you are making the choice that is going to free the both of you to find people that are better fits. So then to the last point and answering the question of, does it have to end? What I want to ask you is, what will your life be like if you stay in this experience day to day? If nothing changes, and if you base the future on the past patterns, the past experiences, the past cycles, what will your life be like if you stay? Who is the woman that you are in this relationship? Who is the woman that you have to be in this relationship? And is it the woman that you want to be? When you think about your higher self, when you think about your evolution, your ultimate goal of being able to be who you want, to show up in the confident, secure, boundaried, independent, interdependent way, does this relationship give you the soil to be able to grow into that person? The reality is that we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know if it ends, if we will get back together with them in several years. We don't know if it ends, if we'll meet our real, true person. But what you do know, if you're in distress, if you are resenting them, if you are steeped in unhealthy codependency and patterns, and you guys are in a cycle and you feel like you're looping on repeat, this version of you and them has to end in order for you to get something different. The relationship dynamic as a whole has to end. Sometimes that means taking space to do your healing, to clean up your side of the street, to them clean up their side of the street, to each heal independently, and then to come back together. Either way, this is setting you up for success for the next relationship. Because, again, if you're staying in this relationship out of fear or resentment that's not serving either of you, it's really preventing your growth. So this version of the relationship has to end. There has to be grief, there has to be loss around this specific version in order to open yourself up to whatever is next, be it with him or with somebody new. It's really hard to find healing. It's really hard for a wound to heal if we continuously throw salt in it. So if we are in an environment that is not conducive to our healing, it will prevent you from doing the deeper work to be able to shift those deeper patterns and be who you want to be. It's going to feel much more like an uphill battle, right? Putting the salt in the wound over and over again, than if you were to take space to do your healing work and then to reassess from that more conscious, aligned, aware place. So my answer to you would be yes, it does have to end. This iteration has to end. And leaving open the possibility for whatever is coming in the future, while also not holding on to, I'm going to do this healing work so that we can get back together. You have to be very careful with yourself that the healing work, the motivation for that is coming from you. Is an intrinsically motivated thing that you're doing. We don't want to try to manipulate ourselves and our way back into a relationship. Taking the space to identify who you are, to clear out the beliefs, the wounding that isn't working, to reassess the way that you show up, to start to practice that in a safe space with a coach or other people that are on that same journey, is how you start to build that strength and resilience to be in a healthy relationship. So your partner doesn't have to be a villain in order for you to want to leave. You don't have to hate them in order to break up with them. You don't have to forget all your good memories in order to leave. Choosing to leave somebody might simply be because you've identified you want different things in life. It might be because you realize that your values aren't aligned. It might be because you are outgrowing them in your self-work, right? You're on this trajectory of learning about yourself, of growing, and they're staying kind of stagnant. And that's putting you guys on different paths. There could be many reasons why relationships aren't working. And I know the tendency to try to make them out to be the bad guy in order to have a reason. Sometimes you're not going to have that. Sometimes it's just you choosing your growth in becoming the woman that you want to be as the priority. Think of it like short-term versus long-term pain. So if you're in a relationship that you don't really want to be in, that you love the person, but it's not serving you, you feel really stagnant, you feel really stuck, that is going to be a long-term pain. That's going to be waking up every day in this thought process, in this question, in this frustration, in this fear, right? That's really elongating that pain versus the pain of a breakup, which is painful, of course, and there's grief. And that process might feel like it's taking forever to move through that time, but it will come to an end. We do find healing around relationships that we've lost. So do your future self a favor and not put her through the elongated pain. It takes a lot of courage to choose the option for your growth and your betterment, and to trust that it's good for the other person, to trust that the other person is an adult and can find their own support and can land on their own 2 feet. Really, it's really, really pulling apart our tendency to want to rescue, especially if you fall into that rescuer role and your partner falls into the victim role. You choosing the end, this iteration to end, is the courageous choice for both of you. It's shifting the dynamic, it's changing it up, it's shaking away how you guys have been living, because how you've been living has led you to this question of, does it have to end? Okay? So let's pull a card and see what the deck has to say as you are thinking about leaving. Does it have to end? And I'm just tuning into the deck. And the card we received is amoeba. So if you're not watching the video, it is a picture of an amoeba. And here's what amoeba says. Amoeba, the simple survivor, has everything she needs. This visitor, in her simplicity, brings a message of independence, individuality, and longevity. Since the beginning of time, she has existed, undefined by shape, able to stretch and flow in her own way. Amoeba brings a message of autonomy and freedom. You won't be trapped or boxed in. You have skillfully maneuvered out of confining, rigid situations before, and this time is no different. Trust your history and natural ability to shapeshift. Amoeba reminds you of your flexibility of your very nature. Slippery at times and able to move fluidly through any situation, you have all you need. Enjoy the self-sufficiency you embody. If perhaps you've forgotten your autonomy and you stick like a parasite to things that don't serve you, amoeba is a reminder to be flexible, creative, and to let go. Being too strict goes against your natural essence. Free yourself and simplify. I did not pull that prior. I swear, these cards always resonate. It's always the specific message that you need. So as you move about your week, as you think about this episode, as you maybe re-listen to this episode, in what ways can you be like an amoeba? Can you get yourself out of sticky situations and not feel so trapped and needing to stick like a parasite to things that aren't serving you? I say this all with so much love. I know that leaving a relationship is not easy. I know, like I said, it takes all the courage, all the bravery, and it's hard, but you can do it. And if you keep in mind your future self and the life that you want to have, always choose to become that version of you. And if after listening to this episode, you do decide to end the relationship, there's a really good episode number 25 called What to Do After the Breakup. 4 steps to help you move through the grief process stages so that you can move on, which I would highly, highly recommend that you listen to after this or after the ending of the relationship. I'm thinking of you. I'm here with you. Always reach out if you need more support. Until next time.